hosted by Andy Moss. Andy has been in the staffing industry for over 25 years, first as a recruiter, then eventually an account manager and business owner. This is the podcast where we sit down with fellow staffing owners to get the real stories of the successes, the failures, and the lessons learned along the way.
Welcome back to Staffing Stories. I'm your host, Andy Moss, and I am here. I've been doing this so long that I don't even know what episode we're on, but I'm happy you're listening to us today. And I've got an awesome guest, Mr. Sammy Singh from WurkNow. And I think of applications that I love in the staffing and recruiting industry, and WurkNow comes straight to the top. And I was so pumped to be able to have you talk to us today and share your story and just encourage people to keep doing what they're doing.
Got it. Andy, hope you're well. We're going to...
I am getting better. For those of you, I'm a month out of cancer surgery, but I am doing great, and I'm happy to be talking to everybody here than in the hospital. But
got it.
Sammy, introduce yourself to the listeners that may not be under a rock. They don't know who you are.
I'm Sammy Singh. I'm the CEO and co-founder of WurkNow. We are a technology platform that is meant for the staffing industry as well as a VMS for the employers. So we do all the way from VMS, ATS, time and labor management, and pay and bill. So it's one platform for both employers and employees to enjoy.
So when you started in the staffing industry and then created something through fixing an issue, is that correct?
Yep. It basically was, it came out of need.
Well, and it's so awesome that a lot of our tools that we see today came from staffing individuals that say, okay, here's a problem. This is going to solve it. And I encourage any owners out there that looks at software, if it's created by another staffing guy, it's probably a good product that's fixing something.
Yes, yes. And Andy, it really does. If you look at our product, and it doesn't matter which product it is. If I'm a Formula One race driver, I know exactly what I need to do because I can drive something and tell you exactly what's right or wrong with it. Same with the golf club, right?
Yep.
So having been in this industry for about 25 years, as just like everybody, typical immigrant story, landed here, worked hard in retail, got into staffing. And I really do want to kind of reiterate that there is no other country in the world that does a better job at getting people in business.
Yeah.
So natural phase, which I hear every day, either someone who's working for a staffing company or someone who's aspiring to do something. And cycles of economy go up and down, and they always ask, do I start a business? There's always an excuse.
Yeah.
Either it's too slow or I missed the opportunity. .com was a big thing. I wish I had another opportunity at 2003. You will see that the best businesses growth occurred when there were bad times.
Yes.
Like they say, bad times make strong men make good times.
Yep.
So for us, it's always been that this is an entrepreneurial country. There's always a perfect time to do business. And that's the only way you can create new ideas for your own business. You can change an industry, you can change people's lives. And that's what staffing is changing people's lives.
And, you come from the light industrial world.
Yeah.
And, I come from more of the professional technical IT recruiting. Those are we're in the same family, but we're in different bedrooms, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
How do you view this light industrial world today and just how it's evolved?
The premise of WurkNow, because I did create a time and labor management company in 2003 that we sold off in 2013. And then I spent some time, about nearly 5 years of a non-compete that was there. We spent that time just talking to agencies, talking to people, and just looking at what existed today in the entire ecosystem and technology-wise for the staffing industry.
Yes.
It was a shocker that when I was running a staffing firm in 98, 99, nothing much had changed even in 2014, 2015, or 2016. The premise is that in light industrial, the big difference that I see in the world that you belong to, the bedrooms you say that you're in and we're in, first you need to really look at respect and dignity are the number one point for the light industrial business. What we do, what we take for granted is, oh gosh, I'm going to call up this guy. It's a $15 an hour job. He's just going to say yes. He is going to take all his time and just show up at your doorstep and go for work. And then, we really get disappointed if I've called 40 people and 20 said yes and only 2 showed up.
Yeah.
Step one is going to be, did we treat them right? Very critical. Did we pick up the phone and call someone and not just text them and say, oh gosh, Andy, are you going to get to this job? It's paying 15. I've got 50 choices at $15 an hour.
Yeah.
I'm only going to remember the one who called me with dignity and respect and said, Andy, I hope you're doing well. And would you be going to this job? And here's what the perks are. You have a chance to do better. Here's where you may not make, but for now, maybe you can take this for a week and I'll find you something better the week after. It's a daily struggle for someone at minimum wage.
Yes.
What we take for granted.
Well, that's the way I treat like our paychecks. I will move heaven and earth to make sure that paycheck gets to them no matter what. Because if you miss a paycheck, that individual relies on that. And that's very, very important. I don't care what industry you're in. You don't pay them on Friday, they don't show up on Monday.
Yep.
And that I love the fact that, people lose if you're only selling money like an hourly rate as a recruiter, you've got it wrong. I mean, people look at culture, they look at location, they look at how far of a drive it is, things that have not even revolved around a dollar yet. Yep.
You're 100% right. So our mantra, if you look at our mindset as a company, is right people, right time, and the right cost. Isn't that what everybody on your client side is worried about, right? 3 things. On a temporary, so when we looked at it, we said, let's build a platform that takes the temporary worker and the client as the center of the universe. And we as staffing agency, in a symbiotic way, are treating these two as these are our bosses. These are the people we serve. And that's the mindset we built WurkNow's platform on. So that was the first premise. And then guess what? We just barely built the platform. We were starting and COVID hit. It was the perfect storm in its own way, because now the temp suddenly became the center of the universe.
Correct.
Right? And just texting alone doesn't cut it. You need to call. It's a hybrid environment that you need to create in order to get someone. And then the clients also want service the same way.
It's COVID obviously accelerated our industry at least 10 years. So you could argue 15 years.
Yep.
Remote recruiting is prevalent now.
Yes.
But I am a true believer. Relationships are face-to-face, sitting across the table. And it's hard if you're a recruiter. I mean, this is great if you have nothing else, but come into my office, meet me, or I'll go have coffee with you, because it's still a one-to-one relationship and they have to build trust. Am I going to change my job for this recruiter? Do I trust what he or she is saying? But it's a new world now. So my old school mentality sometimes comes out, but technologies are trying to harness still that face-to-face customer service, platform.
Yes. And I'll give an example. Think of this as a bullet train that we've built out. Okay. Think of simply as that. The train should only be used to where you have time now. You got to onboard everybody quickly. That's usually the race that you want to get them there. But the key of that train going faster is that you can, inside the train, spend time with the passengers, each one, and take care of them while the entire process is moving forward. That, to me, is the perfect combo between actually taking care of your customer as well as your to me, customers, because a temp is your customer and so is your client.
Yeah.
One should never confuse, the fact that we're in charge to some extent.
Yeah. We're
We as a
selling
staffing
both.
business, the two of them have to be handled.
Yeah.
And hence, respect, paying on time, really asking where they want to go, what they need to do once they've been, that conversations occurred. They need to then be put on that train, and now they're going to go through a smooth process to get to that job. And then the second piece that comes in the staffing business is, am I tracking the time correct? What is the lifeblood of staffing? Collection of time and billing. Yeah. And it, to this day, I get shocked when I speak to a lot of CEOs of a lot of different, software companies. A lot of them have never even been in the staffing business.
Yeah, I know.
They honestly have no clue when I say, what the show up rate, why does this guy did it? True example, I used to run at one time Mattel. It was up 2 blocks away, used to be the warehouse. We'd show up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning and basically tell 5 guys that have showed up in the morning to say, there's the warehouse. You can see the edge of it. Show up over there, the 5 of you. 5 of them leave and 3 would show up on the other end. And we were always shocked, like, how in the world did 2 guys disappear within half a block? Because they got another text or a call from another agency that said, I'm going to give you a quarter more. And they're like, you know what, Sammy and Andy, we're both carpooling. We're just going to turn around and go to that other agency. What did you do to make sure that that person was adept to get to that point? And that, to me, is the key.
Yeah. I use this analogy to some of my recruiters is you have to find a way to get yourself into their family picture. I mean, that's your goal, is like you are looked as, obviously, but they're going to feel awful bad to tell you, no, I'm not coming.
Bingo.
And so that's the mentality you have to have. And you've had great success in your career to this point. Walk me through some challenges you faced, bumps in the road that you look at as, man, that I learned a ton from that. I hated going through it, but where are some struggles?
Oh my God. It's, again, I go back to entrepreneurship in general. It's like a cone with, grease all over it and people coming down the cone all the time. So you're trying to climb up one, you get hit, you turn around, and then you try to go the other way. That any entrepreneur, you including, will relate to that any good day you get, it's a great day. And the day you don't, you just kind of bump up, just the way we had a little stoppage while we were recording.
Yeah. That's
just a bump. It's a bump in the road. You just adjust and you move on. So if I had to put a struggle in, I think it was, we came with a very, very holistic mindset, what we wanted the world to look like for a temp side and a client side. A lot of those things that I thought people would adopt to didn't. I'll give you an example. I wanted initially that I felt, that was my personal feeling, and that's where the failure is mine to hold, that if I've got 10 staffing agencies in a certain geographical group, I can get them all to pool their candidates together and be able to say, because in the end, it's the same candidate showing up at the same warehouse, except that's the logic that's been there always. But it just, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't share it. And that was the reason we created a WurkNow ID. Then we said, okay, so at least when a temp is coming in from one agency, they've gone through the entire cycle, they showed up on time, or they didn't show up in time, they didn't do their assignment. We have a record there. And when the next agency uses some sort of rating system, eventually will evolve and become better. So those were some large, I think it's large failures on my side personally, because I thought I knew the industry and then everything changed. So that's okay, but continuing to listen and continuing to just, it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's the best person to talk to in an agency typically is not going to be the CEO. CEO will give you some of the stuff, but it's the actual recruiter that's struggling to fill that job, and the actual salesperson getting in front of the client and asking, what do you need, Mr. Customer? Because we can solve that and solve the recruiter's problem. We've just solved the entire problem.
I want to change gears with you a little bit here. You started this business with your brother.
Yeah.
How working with a family member and running a business together, has that been great experience or has it been up and down?
It's been great, actually. It's been completely opposite. We both are completely opposite of each other. That's why it worked. One is a tech guy who's very solid, everything black and white, highly organized. And here I am, always stretching the boundaries, always thinking of new things, taking failure in my stride all day long. I'll go and put 10 ideas. And if you're going to tell me all 10 sucked, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to go back, come back again. So it's worked really well for us because we have that trust that is very difficult. But beyond that, it's the team members, right? It's when you find the best people in the business. When I say best, I'm not a believer in A+ people coming in and ruining a culture. I believe I'm a B+, right?
Yeah.
I really don't. I'm A at some things and I'm a C at many. So maybe there's an average of a B. If you have everybody, some excel at some things, others don't, just in a way in a marriage, you as symbiotically, if you all can feel together, it's kind of like avatars. There's one tree that kind of feeds everybody. We feel the same way as a team. That's what changes the needle, because I could be gone for a week, whatever it is. I'm just a piece of that little pie. That's it. My team's the majority of the pie at the end of the day.
Well, you're the visionary and your brother's the integrator. And if you've ever looked at management tools, that's a big piece of it. Someone's got to put it all together.
It is.
I'm the visionary. My business partners on the other end are the integrators, because they take my ideas and either kick them out or they take them. And but that's just how business is. And when you look at our industry and you look at WurkNow and kind of what's coming, AI is just huge term right now. But what techs do you like? What things are you seeing out the front of the windshield of the car that interest you, that, I see this going?
I feel that today, let's say, if we look at majority of our clients, everybody's suffering between, I'd say 10 to 25% slowdown across, at least where light industrial is concerned. 5%, some at 25%, everybody's suffering. So number one is we need to give them the tools to be able to increase their business and save costs, right? Yeah. That's the fundamental first. Just the way, gig economy came in, it fell where it needed to for the right time. And then it kind of faded away a little bit, because at the end of the day, a Uber driver has a different profile than someone trying to work in a warehouse. They really honestly don't want to drive to a different warehouse every single day, right? That's not the same. It's not the same subset. AI has become huge, but AI is very, how do I put it? It's very mistaken in its own way, because very few companies actually create AI. That just about no one does, at least in our business. Maybe 1 to 2% will create. Everybody in the end goes back into only 2-3 places. Right now, ChatGPT is huge. Microsoft's got great AI tools. Amazon's got great AI tools. It's how you use them. It's like that 350 Chevy motor. What you do with it, they built it out. How are you going to apply it, and how are you going to use it? I mean, we're a huge software house, right? All our entire ethos is, what is the problem? We're right now, for example, we're implementing a huge 3PL, right, nationwide. We're the VMS and the timekeeping system in there, one which no one else does, the way we do it, with compliance in 40 states, where they are compliant with their time and labor as they're going. What are we doing with that? We're using AI tools to plug in and see what works. It just has made life so much easier, because we can take use cases, dump them in quickly, versus a QA person going through it.
Oh, it's math. It's fast math. It's algorithms.
Yes.
It's how fast can you compute this? And that's the scary thing with it. But it's also the genius. I mean, I can quickly dump in a Excel spreadsheet and spits out answers in seconds that you would have had to go through pages. So, I think our industry the past couple of years have been really just blown up with tech that are just unbelievable technologies that have come and changed our world, and we've all had to adjust to it. I mean, I started when it was literally a Rolodex and a phone book.
Same here.
And I go out to my recruiters and they're like, a phone book? What's a phone book? I mean, it's
Thomas Guide, Andy. Thomas Guide.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they would do it when we did it, but it's just what we did. But I'm excited about our industry and the tech coming out there. I'm excited I love these conversations with individuals like yourself, because I like to share, encouraging words to the up and coming industry leaders and stuff. So if there is something that you had to say to a young executive, a young recruiter, young account manager, what would you say to that person?
In the staffing business is what you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
This business is never going away. That's one.
Yeah.
It's a jigsaw. You'll have more people, less jobs. And then we've seen that happen. And then we've seen it happen the other way. It's never going to go away. There's no more satisfying business to be able to connect a person with the right opportunity. And yet you're able to make something out of it. And you, for example, I would have never known what injection molding is unless I was in this business. I would have never known what a 3PL does and how do they do things. I'm curious. So for me to have gone to so many different companies, so many, for example, I had an opportunity, true story, I love cars, must have been 97, 98. I go into this warehouse, this guy is injection molding. He shows me the whole warehouse. And then at the back of the warehouse, I see this red Porsche stick shift, totally maybe from the early 80s. And he says, Sammy, you know what? I'm trying to get rid of this. He was giving it, I think, selling it to me for 10, 12 grand. Thing's worth about 250 grand today, probably.
Yeah.
And, and I was so excited. I drove it and I was like, I don't have 12 grand. I'm just starting in this business. I don't have that kind of money to give him. And I walked away. Like, you remember all of these different individuals that you went and met. Mm-hmm. And for them to then talk about, here's the type of person I need. You learn about not only the temp mentality, but you also learn about the people hiring them. That means it makes your job so much more fun because you're adjusting daily, and then you are using tools and AI and everything now to make it all happen. Yep. So for them, and they can go into their own business whenever they want. This is the easiest business. You've seen it. Everybody who has aspiration can go into business for themselves as well. It's simple. You could just be a recruiter at home, do perm placements, one a month. You'll make 20 grand a month.
Yep. It's a fun business. And now it's hard. I mean, there's days that I run my head in that wall every day, but but at the end of the day, we're doing good. We're finding people jobs that are changing their lives. Yeah. And that is the ending message we can leave on, is what we're doing is good work.
It's great work. And very few industries can say that they adjust according to the times.
Yep.
Right? We adjust. Tech will go up when we needed a ton of temps, blasting of tech, getting them in as quickly and rapidly. And now when there's more jobs, there's more people and less jobs, guess what? You stop the floodgates and you start talking to them, and now the industry changes. We're like putty. We are changing constantly.
Yeah. And that's awesome. That's the fun stuff. It's like a tide coming in and out. It's always going to change.
Yes, absolutely.
So I always end my conversations with, okay, Amazon, Netflix, what shows, streaming, what are you into?
The one that left us with a big, I think, mental was, of course, Game of Thrones, right? It taught you the worst of people and the best of people.
Yeah.
I think that I call sales and I call running a business like the
Game of Thrones.
That episode with the Battle of the Bastards, right? Where Jon Snow is in the middle. There's a horse coming in every direction. I feel like, now that with WurkNow, having raised a ton of money, having an excellent, board of directors, having boards to work with, having all kinds of individuals that are 10x better than who I am, it really is to where all day between changes. You're just all day constantly looking to which side you're going to, get hit on and to be successful at it. And doesn't matter. It's my life. I think every entrepreneur's life.
Yep.
And you got to take it with that stride to say, just next step, growth, step back, 2 steps forward.
Yep.
Hence, it is the same way. You're taking life, I believe, in the same manner. Is you have a smile on your face. You're here today, doing what you are, because that's the commitment you've given what you're doing and your love for it. And, I honestly, I can't give you enough blessings on my end. I hope you continue this, keep hitting a home run on this, and doing good for the industry, because you're giving us a lot.
Well, it's fun for me. This is a give back, but I appreciate you being on my show and talking to us today. It's been great. So Sammy, thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks for tuning into the episode. Staffing Stories is brought to you by 3D-IQ. We are the future of staffing sales. Our solutions are designed to supercharge your sales and 3x placements, all without ever leaving Bullhorn. Direct market, deliver talent, and drive sales with our all-in-one tool designed for the modern recruiter. Visit 3diq.com/stories to learn more. Find Staffing Stories on LinkedIn, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.